All right, I believe we are live here. Yes, sir, we are. Welcome everybody to the second broadcast here of the 2021 JoinAPS.com Cup Series, Elite Racing Cup Series. Welcome to Happy Hour here at the Daytona International Speedway. My name is Rishav Khosla, up in the booth today with David Westergreen. We'll be bringing you guys the action all season long. Tonight's going to be a pretty nice, relaxing night. We got a couple of cars out on track here tonight, just getting some practice in before the big race tomorrow night. David, it's going to be an exciting night tomorrow, but tonight we're going to be going over introducing everyone to some of these drivers and just having a good time here in the booth.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. It really does kind of bring back the old happy hour session kind of feeling from my beginning days as a NASCAR fan. Used to always watch on Saturday before the Busch Series race the happy hour session for the 500, and you saw some crashes and guys trying to get their cars and their strategies dialed in, kind of picking out some drafting partners. I think this is a perfect little opportunity for us to talk about these drivers as well, and kind of get acquainted with the field that we're going to see tomorrow in the Daytona 500.
Absolutely, yeah. We're right now we got no cars running on track. Actually, I think Josh Robin, there we go, got him back out there. Just running on his own. Again, I think a lot of guys, and probably our viewers as well, still tuning into the real life clash that's going on at the Daytona Road Course. Just an incident right there between the 17 and 48. So, um, got that going on in the background. So thank you all for tuning in as well while that's been going on. We're going to be walking you guys through kind of the starting grid here for the Daytona 500 and talk about some of these drivers who are around for the full season or maybe some Daytona only entries and just kind of talk through some of what the new expectations are for this new season. And I guess with that we can kind of get started. Just 5 cars on track right now. We've had Craig Arvanites, David Tooker join the trio of Josh Robin, Joshua Personette, and Andrew Rucker, who are currently out on track right now. Right now, they're all sitting on pit road. We're hoping to see them come down to create maybe a little bit of pack here relatively soon.
Yeah, I think this is a really good opportunity actually to bring up Craig Arvanites in the 43 car, and just kind of go over his little bit of a journey getting into the Daytona 500. He had an adventure in that final lap back on the dual races last Wednesday. Arvanites had a last lap crash, and as far as we were concerned in the booth, he had seemed like he was out of the Daytona 500, ends up making it in based on a few changes to the back end of the running order. We've had a few guys replace some other guys based on availability. We'll have 43 starters, but Arvanites will make it into the 500 after leading and winning essentially the pole for the race, and being up front all day long in his dual race. That's a guy that we've seen run really well at these at the short tracks, but here at the big Daytona Super Speedway, Arvanites there in this STP car on the right side of your screen. He's kind of probably one to watch because he was able to keep that car up near the front the entire night in that dual race, and
Yeah,
it was all under pressure.
absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what he can pull off. Craig Arvanites will roll off P18 for the Daytona 500 tomorrow night. But you kind of talked about it a little bit. He was in that fight for pole position, but ultimately the pole went to the man who won it last year, as well as the man who won it in the Xfinity race last night, Josh Adams. I mean, this guy, when it comes to single lap speed at super speedways, is just untouchable. I don't know what he's found or what he's able to do with these cars, but man, oh man, when it comes to qualifying at Daytona, you cannot touch Josh Adams in that 95 car for Ruthless Motorsports.
I know it, and it's very strange for me that Josh Adams is so consistently up in the front. And I think the other Josh that does always qualify up front is our Josh Robin here in the 8 car. We've got him up there waiting for more people to join the session and run happy hour. They don't need to qualify practice, which is why they're waiting for other cars to go out there and draft with them. But Robin is one that intrigues me because he's another one that always seems to start up front in these races. And yesterday in our Xfinity race, he started up front, led a bunch of laps, had an opportunity to win the race late. Adams was there blew his motor yesterday running in fourth. So those guys know how to get it done no matter the type of car. Robin is one that I expect to be up front competing for a win at most tracks, but especially at these plate tracks. He has a knack for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I think it's also combined with the strength of the person at Riggs Campbell stable. Obviously new this year in terms of the name there, formerly person at Riggs Motorsports. I mean that stable has always been one of the strongest teams at at super speedways. We talk about Kendall Noah Player. He's his racing team. A lot of those cars come out of that PRC stable. You talk about Joshua Personette, always one of the strongest drivers here at super speedways. He's always there late in the race. Josh Robin again. We saw Tyler Riggs was running up front, also part of that same stable. I mean that team, something about that team, they really know how to work these super speedway races, and you see that once again. Josh Robin rolling off P4 for the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Look out for that number 8 car.
We saw the finish to duel number 2 that Josh Robin was a part of. Jordan Owens taking that victory, but Robin came across the line like on flipping upside down, flying through the air. He certainly knows how to make it spectacular, and all his teammates, Gerald Campbell, like you mentioned, also the lost him there. I think Josh Personette's part of that stable as well.
Yep.
Those guys are just they run together every single time we come to these tracks, and so they draft together. They practice together. They put in the time, and it shows up on race day.
Absolutely, and yeah, you kind of mentioned him there in mentioning Duel 2. How about Jordan Owens? I mean, what a great story that was to see him winning Duel number 2. He'll be starting on the outside of the front row. I mean, Jordan Owens, that's going to be a great experience for him in that 16 car, fueled up racing, getting his first win in Elite in that duel, and he's got a real chance. He showed how good he is at racing these super speedways. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jordan can do.
Yeah, absolutely right. Jordan is he's a class act. Everyone was just really excited for him. I mean, you could tell we were all kind of in the booth excited about Jordan Owens getting that win, and it was awesome for him. We're really excited to see what he can do coming out of P2. He did tell us that he was going to stick to that high line once again. So as we get to see Josh Personette on track, first car we've had out since Robin took a few laps. But I think a lot of these guys are going to try to wait for this clash to end, which I believe that it has.
I guess it has. I have actually turned away from my TV for a little bit there, so got it on the back. Looks like it came down between Blaney and Elliott, I think.
And I think Chase Elliott wrecked Ryan Blaney and gave it to Kyle Busch.
Oh, really? Oh, there you go. Yep, he did. So how about that? That's flashbacks of what was that? Roval race number 1 way back when, and when Blaney was the one who took advantage. So there we go. Well, yeah, I guess we'll move on then to third place starter Tyler Dixon. We want to talk about him. I don't know if he's available for a potential interview later on. Not right now, but Tyler Dixon, one of those guys who definitely we should be looking out for. We'll be starting third, so second car on that inside row. Look out for that 54 car, new number for him this season, and I want to just double check in terms of, is this his first season running the full Cup Series?
I believe that it is.
If that is, that makes that run in qualifying or in the duels even more impressive for Dixon to get up to that position.
Tyler Dixon's is another one of these guys, very similar to Jordan Owens, that the entire league just kind of respects and runs around. Every time you run around him, you're going to run around someone that's very respectful on track and a good dude off the track. We generally like seeing that as competitors, and as Dixon moves up here into the Cup Series and picking up that first win. I mean, those two guys, Jordan Owens and Tyler Dixon, both picked up their first elite wins of any kind on Wednesday in these dual races. So that's really just a pretty great start to the season. I mean, there's no better way to start it.
Oh, absolutely not. And yeah, can confirm that last season Tyler Dixon ran just 2 races, Talladega and Rockingham. So this will be his first full-time season. He does have a charter secured driving for Do Good Motorsports. So those guys picking up another driver this year, and that's a great squad there. Again, just one of those teams that everybody seems to like in the field.
Yep, and right here, Tyler Dixon was only able to make that move for the win because this guy, David Tooker, had the opportunity to win in that race and ended up trying to take it 3 wide, and R.C. Anderson threw a block. Tooker and Anderson got taken out. Tooker will roll off 25th tomorrow on the grid, but he showed a lot of speed, showed a lot of aggression. If we're kind of Tooker's not known for these big plate tracks, right? But he's so aggressive that man, I would be hard pressed to find someone else that I would think that in this back group that I would be more surprised to see jump up to the front of the field.
Yeah, David Tooker is an interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch at this track because I know I've seen him go very aggressive very early on and make moves that I know I was listening into to a lot of the radio chatter last night in the Xfinity race. There were a lot of drivers who weren't necessarily very happy with some of the moves David Tooker was making, but he was being aggressive, and ultimately to win at these plate tracks, you need to be aggressive. We talk about Chad Frankenfield, who's famously one of the most aggressive guys on plate tracks. Former Daytona 500 winner, and that's ultimately how you have to do it. You talk about, you look at last night, you had Tyler Fode winning at the end, and he won it by wrecking out the likes of Andrew Rucker, who made that late block on him. So, you really have to be aggressive to win here, and David Tooker, we know he's aggressive. Definitely, don't count out that 19 car.
It's funny, we watch him throw in some car control on display, driving that car between the others. The beauty of this simulation is that it's a video game, and we're able to treat it as such. David Tooker kind of going with the fun aspect of it, and that's one of my favorite things about these practice sessions. There's no real consequences. You don't wreck your primary car. David Tooker is just goofing around out there. Here's Craig Arvanites as well. We have gone over him, but that's another one that moving from the back. You talked about Chad Frankenfield. The back of the field does have a lot of kind of star potential. You've got Andrew Rucker back here. Ryan Lutz is back here. I believe R.C. Anderson's actually going to miss the race, but R.C. Anderson's going to start back there. Then Tate Lytle, Kendall Noah Player, Jared Rexing missed the dual races. He'll be in the back of the field. So we have a lot of those guys that you expect to be up front in the back.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you've got your reigning champion, Chad Frankenfield. Where is he starting? He's there starting there 33rd. You've got your reigning Daytona 500 winner, Kendall Noah Player, starting in 37th. You've got former Daytona 500 winner, Andrew Rucker, starting in 32nd. Former Cup champ, Ryan Lutz, starting in 36th. I mean, so much star power in the back of this field, and that's going to be something really exciting to watch is how this kind of second pack starts to form, and who ends up going aggressive early on and tries to get up to the front, and who kind of just waits in the back for a little bit. I mean, you talk about the last time the Cup cars were at a super speedway. Let's talk about the guy who sat around in the back for the largest part of the race and then went on to win the race, Ryan Lutz. He's starting this race 36th position. He tweeted about it, I remember, after the duels, matches his car number. He's feeling lucky about that 36. He feels good about where he finished in Talladega, of course. And yeah, I'd definitely not count out that Lake Norman Motorsports driver. Ryan Lutz, we know how hungry he was last season, just missing out on the championship and Cup Series after I think he got wrecked out in the championship finale. I'm getting all these races mixed up with myself already.
Championship finale, Lutz got damaged in the Jeff Green incident and then sped on pit road,
right,
locking himself out of the championship. The big question, and one of maybe the biggest questions, is Ryan Lutz going to be able to race? Ryan Lutz has COVID. He's feeling a little better today. I think tomorrow, whether or not he's able to make it to the race is going to be all about how he feels. Was not able to make our race on Monday. It's very, very bad to miss the first race of the season, but Ryan Lutz is maybe one of those drivers who's capable of turning it around. And even if the you miss the start to the season. He's going to get a win, and with these playoff formats that lock you in with a win, Ryan Lutz is going to be able to get into that playoff format.
Yeah, absolutely, and also the way that the Elite Racing League works is we've got a bit of a pit pack, a pit party as we like to call them, rolling out here. So some cars will get some drafting action going on track, but the rule in Elite is you make 9 of the 11 total regular season races, and you're eligible for the chase. So Ryan Lutz can afford to miss the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Obviously, I'm sure he wouldn't like to, but first things first, we do want to wish him all the best. Because if when Ryan Lutz is feeling his best, you don't want to mess with him on the racetrack, and fingers crossed that he's feeling better relatively soon.
David Tooker just highlighted a great little point I want to make about these Cup cars. The suck for the draft, really, of these cars and as Andrew Rucker pulls up on David Tooker, the draft of these Cup cars compared to the draft of the Xfinity cars that we kind of talked about on Monday is so much different. These Cup cars can pull up and get massive runs. You can drive from the back of the field to the front, 3 wide. It doesn't really matter. These cars can move all over the racetrack. You can see them running up high, down low, getting big drafts and big runs. Track position won't be so important, I think, in this Daytona 500. It'll be getting those clean green flag pit stops when we do get those. And if you can do that, then you will be able to move up through the field as people kind of fall off and make mistakes on pit road. The drafting itself, you watch Andrew Rucker make a big move here.
Yep.
That's going to be happening all race as Josh Robin throws that big block. These guys are going to get huge runs, and you're not going to be able to make blocks like that when it comes to the actual race tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was just going to say that is you can have 2 cars effectively pulling, out and pulling past a big train of 5, 6, 7, 10 cars. That's how this package really works. You've got so much of a draft because these cars are generating so much downforce. They're punching that big of a hole in the air for the guys behind. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be more aggressive because the guys are able to pull these moves. And we're going to see more things like this where guys are going 3 wide into the corners early on in the race. It's just going to be aggressive all race. These guys have 200 laps to get things done. And you've got blinking there, right? As we've actually got Josh Robin with some blinking issues. But yeah, I mean, expect aggression early on in the race, and then expect to see that all throughout, especially once we get into those final 20 or so laps.
Got a guy leading this pack here that we haven't really mentioned during this little practice session, happy hour. Matthew Weeks in the 11 car. He was one of our chasers last year, finished second in regular season points. And this is one of those guys that kinds of tends to find his way to the front at these tracks. And when you have a great team like he has with David Tooker, Josh Clark, Ethan Burrell, and Tate Lytle, I mean, this is the same group Pro Edge has brought the last couple of years, and this whole group is just really, really fast everywhere we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Look out for, I mean, we talked about it late in that season, how well the Pro Edge cars were working as a team. I want to see how well they can kind of work together here at these plate tracks. They don't always necessarily run together, but, you've got Tooker, you've got Weeks out there right now. I want to see how those two work together, and then once you throw Ethan Burrell, Tate Lytle, Joshua Clark all into the mix, I want to see how that team really functions, because on the mile and a halfs, this team is very, very tricky to beat. I want to see if they can really put it up against, the likes of like Norman Motorsports, like PRC Esports, what we've seen is we've got a big crash there. Like we've seen even Ruthless Motorsports, that the new Brandon Key-led team. I mean, they've been showing some great speed and some great ability to work together as a team at these super speedways. We want to see that from Pro Edge Racing, and I want to see what those guys can do, because they're all very close as teammates, and I want to see how well they work together when they get hooked up at a super speedway.
Yeah, they really have. They kind of tend not to be able to get cooked up together, if that makes sense. They're usually circumstances kind of drive them apart. We watched Ethan Burrell yesterday and Josh Clark run together the entire second half of the race as both of them kind of battled for the lead. But David Tooker was back in the field. Matthew Weeks had damage from an incident on pit road. It wasn't really feasible for them to run as a group of 4 or 5. Tate Lytle was out early with a crash. So they work together, but we haven't seen them put together anything like maybe that Stuart Haas run in 2018. which I think they could do. I mean, we saw Ruthless Motorsports really packing the front of the field in duel number one up until a crash took out most of them. And Scott Crump was still able to pick up a really strong run to start fifth in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, Scott Crump right now the second of the Ruthless Motorsports cars to line up. He's been aggressive. He's one of our Cup Series rookies this season. Is he a open driver or a Daytona only driver? I want to check
He is
that.
he is an open driver, and he will
Okay.
be there for the full season, I believe.
All right, yeah. So look out for this 90 car. He was extremely competitive in the clash that we had earlier in the week. He's obviously was competitive in the in his duel. I believe he won his duel, duel number
No,
one.
Tyler Dixon won duel number one, but it was bypassing Scott Crump.
Right. So yeah. So, as we see there, David Tooker dealing with a very loose car on the apron. Another thing we'll have to look out for in the Daytona 500 is just how well these cars can get in and out laps, especially if we're pitting under green. These cars are very loose on the bottom there, and you're trying to get yourself up to speed as quickly as possible so as not to lose the pack. So another thing to keep an eye out for. But yeah, Scott Crump has been impressive so far in terms of his couple races of debuts, and he's been an open car, or he raced into the clash. He was an open car in the duels. He's made his way into the 500. Look out for that number 90, and let's see what this guy can do in terms of winning races or driving up front this season.
Let's look at the back of this field as well. You kind of essentially taking it from the front of this starting Daytona 500 lineup to the very back. A car that's taking advantage of some guys that ended up not making this race due to circumstances or otherwise. Chad Thernquist is an open Daytona 500 only car that entered the clash, raced his way in, won the clash, didn't make it in the duels, but then is going to make it in because of I think RC Anderson not being able to make the race on Wednesday. That's going to open up Chad Thernquist. And yeah, he is in practice with totally an opportunity to win the Daytona 500.
Yeah, absolutely, Chad Thernquist. I mean, what an impressive job he did during the clash, and yeah, to see him now racing, confirmed racing in the Daytona 500. Look out for this guy. He does have, he is entered, I believe, as an independent, but he'll have the support of the Lake Norman Motorsports team behind him. That's going to be huge. Again, that's a large squad of guys who are really working together throughout the field. When I was up in the box last night, crew chiefing for my buddy in the 29, Brian Blauman. But yeah, man, oh man, we were working with Chad Thernquist. We were working with Lake Norman Motorsports. That's definitely a team that you want to be a part of. Chad Thernquist has that stable behind him. Look out for that 92 car.
Yeah, Thernquist is in a really good spot to succeed, and that Brian Blauman car was the K&P scheme of the race yesterday in the Xfinity Series. So that thing was driving well, and it was driving beautiful. Brian Blauman did come home 7th.
Yeah, we were.
He really did a good job.
I was gonna say we that last wreck had us on our toes, but we were glad we won something last night because it was not looking too great at some points there. But we got them 3 wide here. This is what we're hoping to see here all throughout the race tomorrow night. Seeing 3 lanes of cars going at it. Daytona, narrower than Talladega, but you can still do it. You can still go 3 wide all the way around this racetrack, and I'm sure at some point we might have some guys trying to go 4 wide, and that may not end up too well. But yeah, right now we got 3 lanes of cars going at it.
This is great because I wanted to kind of call attention to the manufacturer disparity in this race, and this little pack is indicative of said manufacturer disparity. We only have 5 Fords entered in this race, and 2 of them are right there on the bottom of the track in Andrew Rucker and Craig Arvanites. Also entered is Chad Frankenfield. RC Anderson, one of the Fords, unable to join, and he won't be at the race tomorrow. So Ford even loses another one. Then I believe they have Johnny Thomas and Richard Hines. So not a whole lot of Fords out there right now. And then the Toyotas, the only Toyota teams are Pro Edge and ID Racing. Everyone's running Chevys right now, and so I'm interested to see if these Fords can maybe hook up and work with each other. I think Rucker and Arvanites are the 2 independent Fords, and then Thomas and Chad Frankenfield are both team cars. So if Richmar Florist Racing is able to kind of work with these independent Fords, would they be able to do so? And then on top of that, the Toyotas, Pro Edge and ID Racing, they are already working together.
Ooh.
As there's a crash in the field, maybe not. Josh Robin is wrecking. Oh, and he net coded into everyone. There we go.
Yeah, we've that was been an issue all night here so far for that 8 car. He's been having some issues with blinking, and there you go. I mean, for Chad Thurnquist, he's hoping that happens on the last lap of the Daytona 500. But yeah, I mean, teamwork is essential here at Daytona. You simply can't go into this race on your own and expect to do well. Obviously, there's situations where you can with just the nature of these super speedways. However, as you see there, the damage on Andrew Rucker's car. I mean, just having, even 2 or 3 teammates can make such a big difference, let alone when you have 6 or 7 guys that you're in communication with, whether it's about pitting or drafting partners or anything like that. Just having resources to communicate with makes a difference. Want to talk about one of the guys, if we're talking about the difference in manufacturers, one of the guys who made the move over from Ford to Chevrolet this season, one of the big names moving over, driving the number 1 car, goes from the 0-1 to the 1, Ryan Gavel. One of our surprises of last season. I mean, absolutely dominated on the road courses, was our rookie of the year, I believe, and has now made the move over. He is a full-time Lake Norman Motorsports driver. That's a dangerous combination in my eyes.
Ryan Gavel, I think, is going to be one of those guys contending for the championship. We haven't necessarily gone into picking favorites and such, but Ryan Gavel would be probably on my top 5 list of guys I expect to have an opportunity to win this championship. I assume Tyler Fode and Ryan Lutz, his teammates, are right there, and then obviously last year's champion Chad Frankenfield, and maybe one of the Pro Edge guys, probably Ethan Burrell, if I was just picking one of them, but all 5 of them really could have an opportunity to win the championship. And then Ryan Gavel would be right there in that group, kind of someone I expect to win the chase or to be in the chase, expect to run well and get those results all season. We've got a number of new guys who have joined up with the session here. Not sure who's leading the session, but I know Chad Frankenfield's right there, and we're on him now. And how about that last race that Chad Frankenfield ran in the 2020B season to kind of clinch off his championship when no one picked him to win that race?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chad had such an underrated season last year, I think. Or just under the radar in general, where, we never really, we talked about him. He ran up it towards the front of the season, towards the front, but he was never a race-winning car. We never really saw that as a race-winning car, that 15 car. And then he came out in Atlanta faster than anybody else, stronger than anybody else on the long run. I mean, it was just Chad Frankenfield's race, and he did what he had to do. He pointed his way into that Final Four, and he was given the opportunity, and he grabbed it with both hands and ran away with it. What a drive from Chad Frankenfield to grab his first Cup Series championship. He's looking to now add a second Daytona 500 to his resume. He's got MyRaceParts.com, a new sponsor on the side of that car, so nice new-looking number 15 car for the champion. Looking forward to seeing what he can pull off in this season. And the guy we were just talking about there, you see that number 1. I believe, I don't remember the sponsor on that car. It's
Monkey Butt Powder or something like that.
I think it is. You're correct. Yep.
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 But Ryan Gavel running that Steve Park themed livery from 2000-ish era season. And, man, it's a beautiful car. Ryan Lutz designs.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a Pennzoil throwback, correct?
It is.
Looks
yeah,
like
he's
it,
running that as the full-time scheme. So I'm a big fan of that. I've got that a throwback to the early 2000s on my permanent Xfinity car, and it's really cool. Craig Arvanites has kind of a throwback on his livery as well. You just love it. I love the designs. I love to see the. Ooh, man! Trying to see if the pack's gonna fly apart there, and it does indeed. Along with Corey Abbott in the 7.
Yeah, Corey Abbott, another one of those guys, made his first Daytona 500 start last season. He was having a really good run up until he got caught up in one of the later wrecks. He'll be rolling off 38th position here for this race. But again, don't count out this 7 car. He's certainly got something. He's which team is he with? He's with PRC Esports this season, so I think that's a move over to that team this year. So looking forward to seeing what he can do. We talked about the might of those guys on these super speedways. Corey Abbott could be a serious threat here for the Daytona 500 win.
Yeah, Corey Abbott's one that we don't necessarily know what he's going to bring as a rookie, to this field, but we do know that he's definitely got as much of a chance as anyone at these big plate tracks with the chaos that will guaranteed to be ensuing throughout these races. But there's some guys that tend to gravitate towards the front than others, and those are the kinds of guys that we've mentioned and talked about the skill set. But then we go in and say, oh well, you can't count this guy out, and if we're going to get through the entire field and say, yeah, you can't count this guy out either. I mean, any one of our 43 starters could pull off the win.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind about that. There's so much talent in this field as well, and each season it gets stronger. I mean, we talked about it all last season about how many guys you go into a race and how many guys you could name that could win at a normal racetrack, at a 1.5 miler, or at a 1 mile track. And then you go to something like a super speedway where you are just so reliant on luck, making it through those big wrecks that occur, making it working with guys all the way up until those final 20, 10 laps. Every single one of these guys can do that. And that's not just through luck, that's just through the sheer talent in this field. There's so many strong drivers that we've got throughout this field, so many, chase caliber, so many potentially even championship caliber drivers that we've got going into this race, going into this season. It's very, difficult to pick anybody to win this race, or let alone any race this season.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are all really really strong. And why don't we bring Chad Frankenfield in now? He's kind of in the waiting room, so we could bring in the last year's 2020B champion and talk to him while he's leading this pack.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll get him while he's driving in the car, leading the pack. Down on that bottom line, though, we've got our reigning champion, 2019-2020 Daytona 500 winner, Chad Frankenfield. Chad, man, coming off of the season of your life. Well, a championship run there last season. You've got a Daytona 500 in the pocket. What's next to check off for you, trying to get that second Daytona 500 victory?
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Okay,
cool. Honestly, it just, you got to be there at the end. That's the first thing. But, I was talking to my teammates yesterday in the Xfinity race where, with the stages, you have to kind of decide what you want to do. If you, I prefer to go aggressive early on in the race and go for the stage points. And if you get the stage points, then you can kind of be smarter in that final stage. But if you miss out on the stage points, then you got to be super aggressive at the end of the race. So it's just one of those deals where it kind of just sees how the race plays out. But typically it's a super big green flag race. So it's just going to come down to make sure we have the right fuel mileage and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're expecting up here in the booth is kind of a long green flag stretch in this race. How are you planning to manage those green flag pit stops? Are you going to partner up with your teammates? And I guess another really kind of big question is, are you going to be down a teammate?
I heard a little bit you said because I can hear my car might speak, but you mentioned green flag stops. To me, that's where I feel like you can gain a lot of time getting in and off pit road. I've always had the mindset that you want to kind of extend the run as long as possible. And then you can really throw it in on pit road to gain time. But, that's really where the time's going to come in. I think if you can extend the stint as long as possible, that'll help.
Chad, just kind of wanted to talk about what David briefly mentioned there is a little bit of chaos there getting into the banking. We do see RC Anderson in the session here today. Do you know if he'll be making the race? Do you know if you'll have another Ford teammate with you tomorrow night?
Yeah, RC's gonna miss, which kind of hurts. But we're gonna have myself. The Craig's gonna be on board with us for the Ford. We've got Rich Hines, and then obviously Rucker as well. So we actually just picked up Rucker in the Xfinity Series because we had an open spot. So that'll be good. But it's really going to come down to that, and just making sure we're doing what we need to do as a team.
Now, are you guys in the Fords gonna try to find anyone else to work with that's maybe not running Fords? There's only 5 or 6 in the race.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Do you guys are you guys going to find anyone who's not running a Ford to kind of help and work with? Because I know there's only the Pro Ed or the Richmar Florist Racing Fords and then Craig Arvanites. So
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna have guys that you're gonna need to rely on. You know, we've done enough of these races now. You know, pro edge guys, you could basically rely on them not to be up front at the beginning of the race. It just all depends. I know the Lake Norman guys, to be honest with you, are guys that you can't really rely on to follow you um, at any point because they're really concerned about their individual races, which is fine. But then there's other teams that you could definitely, like the Do Good guys. Me and Campbell actually yesterday, and when I think from 38th and 39th to top 15 in a couple laps just from drafting each other. So there's some guys you can rely on, some guys you can't. But to be honest with you, though, it's getting really hard to hear you guys. So
All right, no worries about that. We'll let you keep running out here and have some fun in this pack, man.
thank you.
All right, that was your your defending Cup champion, Chad Frankenfield, looking for a second Daytona 500 win as well. We'll see what he can do. Right now, you've got those Fords lined up on the inside line, though, and that's what he's going to be looking for tomorrow night on race night.
yeah, I'm sure everyone's seen his name flash by, but Ethan Resner is our pace car driver as well as our in race official for the Cup Series this year. So in that the 000, Ethan Resner is just out here practicing with the group. Uh, he will not be running these races. He will be officiating them. And so if we have any penalties or anything sent down, Ethan Resner is the one who's going to be doing that this season. Alec Balvans was the official last year in the Cup Series, and Ethan was one of our drivers. They have switched nights that they will be officiating. Ethan is racing on Monday nights with the Xfinity Series, and Alec is the official there.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, for Alec, he's making that step up to the Cup Series, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does there, racing with the Kananoa Player Organization, Racing Point, Limu, Emu. Always enjoy saying that team name there. Kananoa Player, always happy to have a laugh there. So rolling off P20 there, and again, that's a team that's very closely associated. We've got almost a spin there for Ethan Reasoner, and then some crashes there further back with. Looks like that was Matthew Weeks and Andrew Rucker. But yeah, those guys closely associated with person at Riggs Campbell Esports. Again, another team to look out for at the super speedways, as we mentioned before. So definitely look out, Alec Balvans. I want to see how his Cup Series goes on. I believe they've secured a charter for that number 5 car as well.
Yeah, the 5 car will also be running it. Casey Kane throwback week in and week out, which is really cool. And like I had kind of mentioned it while we watched this number 1 car try to go for the lead. Oh, I like the throwback idea. Chad Frankenfield's running one. In fact, in the Xfinity Series, he's running a Brad Keselowski throwback to when he won the championship in 2010. So yeah, this league tends to be excited about these kind of throwback paints. And then you've got the creative new paints that are like the ones on the Chad Frankenfield and RC Anderson cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to see, and I mean that's what I love about the these iRacing races and iRacing leagues is you can be as creative as you want with these paints. There's very little, I guess, corporate interference that you sometimes have in those real life schemes. But with that being said, I mean a lot of these drivers are running real sponsors. These are guys who are actually paying their entry fees for this season, and there is actually return on investment. I mean there have been so many guys who've talked about that and how great the sponsorship opportunities are within Elite Racing League. So if any of you guys see, any of you guys watching, see a car without a sponsor on it, absolutely reach out to the driver of that car, because the coverage that they get here on the Elite Racing Network and in the Elite Racing Leagues is, many sponsors can attest to just how great that is.
I mean, I picked up a sponsor this season, which is really cool. It's very different, I think, because I really want to perform well for my sponsor and try to do something more than I think maybe ever done before. Try to get into the booth, get onto the interviews and whatnot, and then in the booth as now a driver with a sponsor, I kind of have to pay attention to that. Try to, when we have an opportunity to see like, well, who's sponsoring that race car, and kind of get a zoom in on it, being able to call that the I'm not. What did you say Chad's new sponsor was?
MyRaceParts.com.
Yeah, so Chad's the MyRaceParts.com number 15 car. Similar to how we used to call it, like the Budweiser number 8 or the DuPont number 24. Kind of getting these cars known by their sponsors, I think, is really wise. We're watching Tate Lytle here getting kind of sucked up by the pack, but Tate is another one of those guys. Pro Edge, been in a lot of crashes all week, but he's going to slip into this draft right here behind Tyler Dixon, our dual one winner. So a couple of guys joining the lobby that we haven't really yet talked about. We talked about Dixon a little bit, but Tate Lytle coming from the back, trying to actually have a race that he doesn't get wrecked out in Elite this week.
Yeah, it's not been his week, but yeah, I mean, Tate Lytle, another one of those guys bringing in a new sponsor this season, Days Gone By Vintage Apparel. They've sponsored a number of cars here in the Elite Racing Leagues, but I think this is the first time they're appearing on that 56 car. So I think that's a season-long sponsorship there with Tate Lytle and Days Gone By. So once again, great to see that for Tate. Great to see that for a bunch of new drivers this season who are getting these sponsorship opportunities. It's fantastic to see, and here we go. We've got another nice little pack forming back up. We got R.C. Anderson and Tyler Dixon on the bottom, Chad Frankenfield on the top, and there we go. You guys see now Tate Lytle, David Tooker, and Ethan Reasoner all coming back down to the bottom here.
We watched Tyler Dixon win that dual number 1 earlier this week, and he did it from doing exactly what he's doing right now, which is kind of keeping his nose clean. I saw him on Discord earlier. He's unfortunately not there anymore. Otherwise, I would have loved to pull him in for an interview. But Tyler Dixon's really that kind of driver. And you mentioned Do Good, or I guess Chad Frankenfield actually mentioned Do Good drivers as the drivers who are really consistent and willing to stay with you and try to help throughout the field. I think that change in philosophy is definitely something that those Do Good guys do really bring to the table. I've really enjoyed working with teams the past couple of years, especially as I've gotten into first Do Good and now with ID Racing. Running with a team is really fun. And I think that the Pro Edge guys, the Richmar Flores guys, everyone would tell you running with a team makes it feel a little more official. Just makes it feel a little bit more professional, and then you have that reliance that if you're running with Tyler Dixon as your teammate, that he's going to stay behind you in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely, and I kind of wanted was just about to ask you to elaborate on that. We haven't talked too much about ID Racing. Obviously, a new team to Elite Racing Leagues this season. Vincent Isabella and Shane DiMantova teaming up to put together that squad. You're racing for them in the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. Talk us through what that's been like, this new team for you, obviously moving over from Do Good, and what you're looking forward to seeing from them. Obviously, your totally unbiased opinion up here in the booth as you watch them compete in the Cup Series.
Well, I'm really excited, honestly, to get a couple more Toyota teams in there. I think it's a good thing to have some manufacturer disparity. We've got only 3 cars to choose from, so the fact that 30 people chose the same car just is a little bit, maybe not frustrating, but it's a little off-putting. Is that, oh yeah, we're just the Chevy League. Definitely wanted some more disparity there, but I think we've got a really great little stable. I think in the Cup Series, Shane DiMantova is going to be starting, I think, 23rd, and then Vincent Isabella starting 35th. And I think David Carpenter made the race after a couple of people have dropped out.
Chris Jordan has also made the race.
That's it. Chris Jordan made the race. It was David Carpenter is my teammate in Xfinity Series. Yeah. So Chris Jordan also made the race for ID Racing. He'll be starting in the back, but I think for them this week especially, it's going to be not to crash the cars. We talked about Tate Lytle's bad luck. I mean, we have had absolutely no luck aside from one Shane DiMantova win last Thursday in Osaka. As a team, we have been like one good finish, and the rest have been terrible. I think they're going to be trying to look to get some consistency and get up to the front of the field at the end of the race when it matters most.
Absolutely. It certainly doesn't help that I think a lot of the races that have been going on these past couple of weeks have all been on super speedway, so it makes that just a little bit more of a lottery. I know you've got a personal vendetta with super speedways. Definitely something not going too well there between you and Daytona International Speedway. As unfortunate, I think it was lap 40 that you were unfortunately taken out last night.
Oh, I think it was even earlier than that, man. I finished dead last. Which, like I said, when you've got a sponsor, that makes that a little bit more salt in the wound. I feel much worse about, it was a bum incident, that takes you out. But that feeling when you've got that sponsor, it puts a little more pressure on you, and it makes that feeling of, man, I just didn't perform. I know that one wasn't my fault, but oh man, it hurts. It hurts more. And that makes it even more exciting when you do get that good run, when I'm able to call out my sponsor after running well finally in this series and getting up here into the top 5. I'm going to be really excited to mention him.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to going against you. We'll head to head almost there in the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. So from teammates in the booth to rivals in some ways on the track there.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it fun. And I've been able to jump back into the booth with that kind of misfortune and watch that Xfinity race, and we saw the Brian Blauman car run really well. So that was exceptionally cool. We've got a pretty good little pack here, and if this is any indication for tomorrow, we're going to have an absolutely wild race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're probably seeing maybe a little bit more aggressive than what we'd see early on in tomorrow's race, because these guys definitely know there's nothing on the line tonight here. It's just a practice session. These aren't cars that they're saving for the Daytona 500 or anything quite like that. So you can be a little bit more aggressive, but this is a chance for guys to really experiment with, all right, how hard can I push this guy? Where can I push this guy in front of me? Who can I start to trust on the racetrack around me? Do I feel comfortable racing around, this guy? Obviously, it's a small grid here tonight during happy hour, but it's still useful information for a lot of these guys getting this practice, running in the pack, and running around some of these new drivers who haven't been running in this Cup Series in the past.
Yeah, I think guys like Craig Arvanites and Chad Thornquist are out here trying to kind of make some friends. Also Tyler Dixon, even though he won that first dual race. A lot of these guys have run together other times, and I think everyone knows they can trust R.C. Anderson, who is, a consummate pro at this stuff. But, Chad Frankenfield, Tate Lytle, David Tooker, these guys have run together for years and years now. They're very comfortable with each other. It's something that I've seen from running with these guys in other leagues. I just immediately know, if I see that guy and I've seen him on the track before, I can trust him. Craig Arvanite's not someone that everyone has run with yet. He ran in our Street Stock Series and very nearly won the championship as he gets turned right there. But these guys are making friends. They know that they can help each other. You see Andrew Rucker out there. He's probably gonna treat you somewhat like the Chad mentioned with the Lake Norman drivers. He's going to run his own race. He's going to try to take you 3 wide. These guys know. We know who's going to do what around you, as long as it's someone you've seen before. And that's what this practice is kind of building, is that repertoire of knowledge of what these cars are going to do when you're around them.
Absolutely, yeah. We've almost run through our hour here, man. It's been a fun time going through the field and hopefully introducing as many of these drivers as we can to our viewers. I know, something that people wanted to see last season was just kind of knowing who the guys are racing on track, understanding what these guys are doing and the personalities of all of these racing drivers. I kind of want to, see if I can touch on any of the drivers we've missed so far in terms of our starting grid for tomorrow. You've got Johnny Thomas rolling off P7. Not sure if we talked about Hank Steinmiller as well, rolling off P6. He's an independent driver this season. I believe he's also working closely with the Lake Norman Motorsports stable, as I think he's with them in their truck series. But he's looking good there. Ethan Burrell, of course, one of our Final Four drivers from last year. I think the first of our Final Four drivers to roll off tomorrow in 8th position, with his teammate Joshua Clark right behind him in P9.
Yeah, those are the guys that are kind of up front, really. I've tried to touch on as many as I could. I'm trying to scroll back to the list. You can keep going through them if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got your defending Xfinity or Grand National Series Daytona winner Jeff Green. He's going to be an exciting one to watch. He was exciting to watch last night as well, always running up in that front pack. Same with Tyler Fody, your eventual winner from the Monday night race. Chuck Sweeting, a man who always finds his way at the front, always finds his way to the front at the end of these races. Once again, did it last night, I think finishing P6. I remember he finished right ahead of us in that 29 car. So look out for that 75 of Chuck. Gerald Campbell, Brody Moore running 15th and 16th. Both those guys effective teammates with Brody, joining that Racing Point Limu Emo squad. We mentioned Chris Jordan and Craig Arvanites lining up in 17th and 18th, with Brent Jones and Alec Balvans bringing up that top 20. I mean, talk about Brent Jones, do good motorsports driver, coming back for another season. It's been great seeing his progression forwards from where he was just a couple of seasons ago, and I'm looking forward to seeing Brent Jones, what he can do. One of those guys who's bringing in a new sponsor this season, McConey Setup Shop, so can't wait to see what Brent can do this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for Brent. He brought me into this league essentially. Gave me an opportunity to race in iRacing at all, and I'll always appreciate that. Brent's a good guy, and we're kind of collectively looking forward for Brent's first really good race, and I think it's coming. I really do. He's making progression. He's clearly taking the steps he needs to have success, and as soon as he gets that confidence up, I think that's when he's going to step forward and really start to make some waves.
Absolutely. With that, we'll keep running through the order. You got Richard Hines and Joshua Personette. Chad touched a little bit on Richard Hines again, another one of those guys who's just dead consistent, never really makes mistakes. You never see that 87 car involved in any wrecks, and especially at a race like the Daytona 500, you will see that 87 car running well at the end. Same thing with Joshua Personette, just knows how to get it done on these super speedways. Shane DiMantova, Damian Leininger line up 23rd and 24th. Damian looking to just rid himself of that last season, that 2020 B season, where absolutely nothing went right for that 12 car. With David Tooker and rookie Zishan Dura lining up 25th and 26th. Then you bring in Ruthless Motorsports driver Brandon Key, leaving the Lake Norman Motorsports team to form his own team, driving the number 25 car. Starts 27th alongside Scott Haney in 28th. Then we got some do-good drivers. You got Michael Goodman lining up in P29 and Fueled Up Racing's Matt Arcara in 30th. Fueled Up Racing again taking that 31st position with Casey Hatch. And then Andrew Rucker, the independent driver, in 32nd. Then you get some...
We might need to change that to Richmar Esports. I think that's what Chad was kind of alluding to, was that Rucker's going to be a Richmar Esports car this year.
Oh, okay. I was not aware that was occurring in the Cup Series, but yeah, Rucker could be returning with that group. I believe he was with them back when they were 90 Motorsports, so could see a remarriage of that duo with Chad Frankenfield's own team and Andrew Rucker. So looking forward to seeing how that turns out. And speaking of Frankenfield, he'll be lining up beside Rucker in 33rd position with Caleb Thompson in 34th. And we've got a lot of big hitters here finishing out this grid. As we were talking about earlier in the season, 35th, Vincent Isabella in that beautiful Oscar car with Ryan Lutz in 36th. Kendall Noah Player, your defending Daytona 500 winner, lining up in 37th with Corey Abbott in 38th. Tate Lytle trying to get a clean result here sometime during speed weeks, lining up 39th.
He's not going to get one right there.
Oh boy.
No. Tate Lytle is the one who causes the crash on the back straightaway with a couple of minutes left in happy hour.
Yeah, hoping that doesn't happen to him in the race tomorrow. Maybe that's the last wreck for him, getting all of it out of the way here early in speed weeks. With Jared Rexing then lining up in P40. And again, some more big hitters with R.C. Anderson. Projected to roll off 41st, but I would assume that'll be Chad Thornquist now, filling in that 92 car, with R.C. Anderson expected to not make that race. Dustin Dewar and Rusty Capel round out our grid of 43 cars. It's going to be an exciting one tomorrow night.
I'm extremely excited for it. I think it's really going to be a great race. We've hit on just about everybody, I think. In terms of it, maybe we can bring Tate Lytle in here for one little last interview before we head out.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can grab Tate. Let's move him over to the waiting room before we do anything there, because never know what these guys are saying in their own little chats. But we've got Tate Lytle here, one of the unluckier guys during the speed weeks here, and for your sake, hopefully that was the last incident you see here during speed weeks, man.
It will be.
No, Tate, do you guys over at Pro Edge kind of have a plan for tomorrow night? As we kind of close out this practice session, I know you guys were looking to get some drafting practice there, but is there anything you think you guys want to do tomorrow that'll help you win?
I mean, it's really just trying to survive. survive and have a chance. But with this package, you never know. And going so fast, these things are so unstable. I mean, you saw right there, Chad got all sorts out of shape behind me and hooked me in. I mean, I hooked the whole field. So probably going to see that a couple times tomorrow.
Well, I mean, what can you do to I mean, as a driver, what can you do to kind of help keep yourself in this race towards the end? I mean, is the plan to hold back and just hope you miss all of the wrecks going on in front of you, or just try and stay up front and hope everything occurs behind you? I mean, we've seen two different mentalities, and we've seen both of those work. What's really going to be your plan heading into the 500 tomorrow?
I mean, I'm starting 39th, so I'm probably going to lay in the back. But I really feel like I'm not the guy to be asking these kinds of questions.
Oh yeah. We just know that you're kind of the personality available to jump in. Maybe we could have grabbed Weeks or something, but I think you're the one, especially after you joined us during the dual races. I think you're the one that's going to have that kind of idea of what I got to do differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got to get up front. I was able to get up front in the Erskine duels and do fine. But we saw that go horribly wrong in turn 3 anyway. So it's really, you're not safe anywhere, but you're safest out front.
Andrew Rucker did just send a message to the chat with a video of netcode with one of the wrecks in this practice. Do you think that there's anything you guys can do to kind of keep those cars apart from each other to avoid any of these crazy netcode incidents?
I think there is something we can do. I don't think it's gonna be done. Yeah, you can not pinch the guy below you, but I mean, if you're coming to the white flag of the race tomorrow after investing 4 hours of your time, you're not going to be giving a half car length to that guy below you. You're going to be on his door trying to get as much side draft as you can and give yourself the best chance to win. And probably not going to work out well for you, but you never know.
All right, man. Well, it's we're looking forward to seeing what you can pull off from the back tomorrow night. We'll keep an eye on you and your Pro Edge teammates. See what you guys are able to get done, and best of luck for the 500. Hopefully, we see you still running there at the end.
Yeah, hopefully. If not, I'll stop by and say hello to you guys up in the booth.
All right, sounds like a plan, man.
All right, later, fellas.
See you, Tate. Looks like Chad Thornquist joined the waiting room as well. We might want to bring in, I guess, our kind of last chance driver there. Ask him a couple of questions before we hop off.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll bring him in here. Chad Thornquist, one of our open drivers, got into the race with some of the other guys dropping out. You got your chance now to repeat your success from the Clash, man. How are you gonna get it done tomorrow night?
No clue. Not a clue.
So that's what we like to hear. I mean, I guess, how much were you able to learn from last night's race? Obviously, the cars handle very differently. They suck up to the draft in the draft very differently. But you also were able to get a lot of laps in here tonight, working with a lot of these guys around you, figuring out who are the best people to work with. What's your game plan here for where you want to be for the majority of the race?
Started at the back. Mid-pack last night, and I stayed there, and then I went to the back early, and I got taken out by Brent Jones when I was blowing up. So my strategy is to do the same thing, but stay away from the 89 as much as possible.
No, I have people I got to stay away from the Xfinity Series as well, Chad. But as long as this field keeps it clean, I think that the stay in the back strategy will pay off. Are you ready for those green flag pit stops? This race tends to go green for a really long time. Are you going to be pitting with the Lake Norman Motorsports guys? Being
a Lake Norman Motorsports driver in the Truck Series and driving a Chevy in the Cup just for the 500, I'm going to be trying to work with them as much as possible, just as like that loaner affiliate. I was doing that last night in Xfinity. So I'm going to try and work with Fody, Gavel, all those guys, and see what we can do on strategy. My pit stops last night, I didn't get a penalty. I had to refuel the car because it did not fuel up when I went down. And when I went down the first time, It was perfect. I just had a little bit of a slide though, but it was amazing. So if I could repeat that, I'd be very happy.
All right, man. Well, you've got a great opportunity with you here. Being able to make the start of the 500. Looking forward to seeing what you can pull off. You obviously raced your way into the Clash earlier this week and ended up victorious there. Similar racing style, though. Obviously, those tracks don't have the restrictor plates, so just going quite a bit faster. But wishing you the best of luck tomorrow night, man. And maybe we'll be talking to you in this broadcasting booth at the end of it all.
You won't. I have terrible luck. You won't.
Well, we'll keep an eye on you anyways, man. We'll look out for that 92 car. Best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Chad Thernquist there, one of our Cup Series rookies, an open driver who's made his way into the Daytona 500. We'll be following his progress tomorrow night. And David, warm-up is over, or excuse me, not warm-up, happy hour is over. Craig Arvanites tops the timing sheet, so obviously there's not too much you'll be able to tell from draft timing sheets at the Daytona 500. Ultimately, it's who's running well with each other, and that's really what people were learning here tonight. But I think hopefully we were able to educate our viewers a little bit about some of the drivers who are taking part in this series, and hopefully we'll be able to see some fans screaming in the comments tomorrow night for their drivers.
I'm excited. It's going to be a really, really fun night of racing. I'm really looking forward to it. We mentioned every driver in the field by name tonight. I think that's a mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Apologies for those of you we had to rush through at some points. 50 or 60 minutes to go through 43 drivers is a tricky task to ask, but we got all of you guys mentioned. We're going to try and mention all of your sponsors as well tomorrow night when we can. So trying to get everyone the coverage they deserve. Obviously want to thank C2 Freight Resources and Richmar Florist, both of them premier sponsors of the Elite Racing Leagues. They'll be with us all season long with, of course, Home Place Beer, the title sponsor for tomorrow's Daytona 500. With that, do you want any parting thoughts here, David?
Nope. I think I'm ready. Tune back in tomorrow, guys. Daytona 500.
All right. Well, with that, I've been Rishav Khosla with David Westergreen here in the booth. Happy to bring you guys this happy hour coverage. We're looking forward to the Daytona 500. Hope you guys are too. Expect some great racing, as it always is on these super speedways in the Elite Racing Leagues. 2021 is getting ready to kick off. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.